Welcome to Sports Lab Overtime. I'm Justin Baxley. Jordan Lou is here riding shotgun with me today. We're covering a lot. We've got the Florida-Georgia game.
We do.
And we've got the Arizona opener out in Las Vegas to talk about today. Jordan, I'll start, though, off the top. Your first and last Florida-Georgia game as a student. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, it was so cool. I actually worked the game, so it wasn't like a total fan experience, but it was honestly so great to see the split stadium and like with the Jacks, like with Everbank going into renovations, like it was so nice to be there and really get the tradition going, like to see all the fans tailgating and like the atmosphere was so electric. And honestly, I had a great time. And like I think before a lot of people debate whether they want like a home and home, right? And I never really like contributed to it because I was like, I don't know, I've never been to Jacks, like I don't really know how it's like, but going this year, I think we should keep it in Jacks. Like I think it's really special to have that 50-50 split and for people to do like the Jacksonville migration every year. So I had a great time. It was a really good game and atmosphere was electric. So yeah,
I see both sides of the argument. I think it would be a lot of fun to see the Bulldogs in the swamp.
Yeah,
but I also think that like I've seen a couple different ideas thrown out there. I like the rotation of it. So like Jacksonville, then Athens, then Jacksonville, and then Gainesville. I don't hate that idea where like, because one, it helps the local economies for Athens and for Gainesville, and then also for Jacksonville. I could also see it going Athens to Jacksonville to Atlanta and then to Gainesville. I've seen that too. So there's just a lot of options that are out there. I don't know which one's my favorite, but look, I think if, we've got 2 years, one in Atlanta and one in Tampa. I don't know that I love that. I think I'd have rather seen the home and home. This is the one opportunity to kind of do it, and then you'd be able to take it back to Jacksonville. But, it's a fun environment, right? Like there's, you do get the split. The tailgating's world famous. But then the game on the field, Jordan, it did not go the Gators' way. What were your kind of big takeaways from the game on Saturday?
Man, I would say I feel like this year the script is the same every single time. It's like the Gators keep it competitive for most of the game. Suddenly, fourth quarter, there's like some kind of fallout, and then the Gators lose. I feel like since 2020, that's been the script ever since. Dan Mullen was here when we had Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts. So like, this year was no different. And I thought like even going into halftime when we were 10-10, it was like something that I wasn't confident in coming back from, and there were so many missed opportunities I think that the Gators left on the field. And with Billy Gonzalez like being his first game as interim head coach, I thought he did a pretty good job. Like I thought the players were bought in, like they were playing for the patch, which was like the whole entire motto going to this week. And I just thought even in the first half there were so many opportunities that we should have really gained upon, like the interception, and then we had that field goal. So we just put points on the board. However, I just knew that not getting that touchdown at the end was going to come back and bite us. And even in the second half, there was so many questionable calls. And I know you might think differently, but that sort of on catch that people are arguing about, very controversial. But I thought, we were holding our breath the whole entire time, like when that was up in review. And also some of the play calling I thought was interesting. Like there was like that 3rd and 2 DJ Lagway, like QB draw. That I think was what really got to me, because it's like DJ Lagway hasn't been a mobile quarterback the whole entire season. And just to put him in those situations where he needed to like even get 2 yards, I just didn't know if that was the right play call. And there was also the 4th and 1 with Jaden Ball that we didn't get as well. And that would have changed the whole entire game. Like the Gators would have went up 2 possessions. And I thought that would have, the chances of winning would have increased drastically. But then after that, like Georgia got all the momentum back. They went and scored. And it was just, I really didn't think we were going to come back from that. But overall, it was a great game. It was just like certain plays that if it had gone the other way, like the outcome would have been different. And I think it's kind of like this every single year with Georgia. It's like the rivalry game, no matter how good both teams are, it's always going to be close, and it's always going to be a toss-up. And, with even like Coach Smart, like he always says, like no matter like who's ranked where, like this game will always be very heated, very, the talent is there on both of the rosters. So it was interesting. Very disappointed by the result, but it was a good game. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty evenly matched in terms of, your both teams being physical, both teams seemed like equally athletic, and that hasn't necessarily been the case for the last few years. It's been more Georgia's just outmatched you with depth. They've outmatched you with the trenches. They've outmatched you with speed. They outmatched you at the quarterback position, at the running back position, at the wide. Every single position you felt outmatched. It didn't feel that way Saturday. It felt like a more even matchup than we've seen in a while. And look, the scoreboard reflected that. It wasn't a 42-20 kind of game. It wasn't 40-something-7. It was 24-20. And look, you can make the argument it should have been 31-20 because Gunnar Stockton took the knee at the 1. Which I think, anybody that's going to go back and watch that game, they're going to probably go ahead and say, well, Georgia wins by 11 or so, whatever it is. But the reality is, in the fourth quarter, Florida had its chances to win the football game. You mentioned the Jaden Ball fourth down. I don't hate going for it there. I didn't love the play call. And it goes back to something that Kevin Winter and I talked about over the weekend. He called me on Sunday and we kind of talked a little bit about the game. And I mentioned to him, and he talked about it on Sports Lab on Monday, was the inability to go under center for DJ Lagway. And not just DJ. We've got a whole generation of quarterbacks that have to take snaps out of the shotgun. If you watch the Memphis game against Arkansas earlier this year, on the kneel down, they had to take the snap out of shotgun. When you take a snap out of shotgun on 4th and 1, you are adding yards that you have to go run. So instead of it being 1 yard that you need to pick up, you need to pick up 1 yard plus the 3 or 4 in the backfield. And so it's why the Eagles are so effective at the NFL level. 1, they false start on every play, but 2, they push the guy over the first down line.
Yeah.
Whether you think that play is illegal or not, they do it, and they do it well. And so I think from that standpoint, I would have liked to have seen the quarterback get under center and either turn around and hand it off to Jaden Ball, or just have Jaden Ball push. Look, DJ Lagway's a massive dude.
Yeah.
You're telling me he can't line up under his center and push forward?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think I don't hate the play call either. Like, I wanted the ball in Jaden Ball's hands for that 4th and 1. It was just like the execution of it really is what got to me. And that was not the nail in the coffin, but it truly changed the whole entire like momentum of the game. At that point, it was kind of like Georgia gets their ball back. Like, their defense is hype. Their fans are hype. It was just like total momentum changer. And I think if that gone differently, it would have been so different. But yeah, it was just that. And, DJ, he did have some great scrambles, and, he picked up a lot of effective yards during this game. But it was just like, I think DJ is still very slow. He's not the most efficient runner. And I think maybe you could run him in like a first down, a second down, but like 3rd down, 4th down situations, like I think QB draw like that call is not effective at all. But yeah,
I mean, it certainly worked a couple times where the linebackers had vacated the area.
Yeah, he had like a 20-yard rush.
He had a 20-yard run on the QB draw, but it was a very specific thing. And then the second time that play happens, he gets 9 yards. Now, that means Georgia probably had adjusted to at least stop him from getting another 22-yard gain.
Yeah, they probably weren't expecting him to run either.
Yeah, I do think that's probably the case. I think we haven't seen a ton of mobility from him this year. But from a mobility standpoint, a DJ Lag standpoint, I thought he played better, but I still saw a lot of like mishaps. I'll also say on that 4th down, I think if I'm the head coach there, and I know I'm Monday morning quarterbacking this, I'm not a head coach, but the minute that Georgia's line was here and then it pinned right before the snap, that's the most important play of the game. Please consider calling a timeout there. I know you need your timeouts, but the minute Georgia pinched its line in, I would not have liked that look, knowing the play call was to run it directly up the middle. I would have probably called a timeout and got my guys in a different formation. change something out to where I don't have to put the trust in an offensive line that frankly was playing pretty well on Saturday, but for the season has not been up to task. I wouldn't have wanted to put it up against Georgia's defensive line on a one play where that defensive line knew if we get this stop, we can completely change this game. I think it was the most important play of the game, not the Sturdivant stuff, none of that. I think that fourth down, like you said, it completely changed the momentum because they go down the field. I really like Georgia's play call on 3rd and 7 to do a toss sweep to get Chauncey Bowens outside the tackles, to give him an opportunity to run out into space, which I thought maybe that was something they could have done on 4th down for Jaden Ball. Instead of going straight up the middle, try to get him into space to maybe run away from some guys. Or, DJ said it was a straight run call. There was no RPO. I would have liked to have seen even DJ pull it and try to do like a jump pass, a la Tim Tebow, over the offensive line to try to give them some kind of spark. Because I don't know that Georgia was expecting a pass there. I think you could have had him run up to the line and flick it over the top. But again, I'm not a head coach for a reason. But I think that there were some opportunities there.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a tough call too, because it's like, even if Jaden Ball used a perimeter, like the feeling of having to, as you said, like gain even more yards than the 4th and 1, like extend how much you have to run is very scary. So I feel like with the play calling there, like they tried to pick something that was, okay, let's run this. Like this has the highest chance of us gaining 1 yard. But I think that it didn't go our way. And it was just, complete momentum killer right there. And that was when, we're even lucky to get the ball back. And now it's like after they score, you kind of have to come up from a deficit now. And it's just at that point, like defense was playing great all game, but now you kind of have to put the fate in their hands once again. They've been showing up the whole entire game, but then it's like, oh, we have to go back on the field and we have to really buy out this offense. So it was something. And this is me, like another year of coming out of the Florida Georgia game being like, we should have won. And I say this every single year, but I truly think that, I don't know, maybe I'm starting conspiracy theory, but Coach Smart, like, I think he has like a hex on this or something. Like, are we cursed? Like, I feel like every year, like he always gets bailed out of these games. I don't know.
Well, so Jordan, here's the funny thing: is I grew up a little bit before you, and it felt the exact same way on the Georgia side. When you think about Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer, did they have a curse on Georgia? Because it didn't matter what the record was. Florida was going to somehow find a way to beat Georgia in Jacksonville. And so it was every year that was the one game. If Georgia could get past that game with a win, you thought the ceiling was pretty high for the season. They could be 7-0 going into that game, and Florida could be 3-4. And you felt like, oh gosh, and you just tense up. Even now, as I know a lot of fans, a lot of Georgia fans, that those battle scars and wounds, mentally, they're still there. And so whenever they play Florida,
you could tell the fans were hyped.
It still eats at them of like, Florida can still beat us even when they're not as good as what they were in the past. So let's talk a little bit about the catch / not catch.
The call.
Here's been my take on the whole situation. And it almost has nothing to do with the actual call. Yes, whatever they called on the field probably should have stood in that situation. If they call it a catch, it's a catch. You move on. If it's not a catch, you still have 4th down. You got to pick it up, right? I thought the bigger problem was actually DJ Lagway in the situation.
Yeah, he underthrew that.
The fact of the matter is that J. Mike had a 20-yard gap between him and any of the defenders. If DJ Lagway takes the time and sets his feet, there's a chance that he launches that thing to within 3 or 4 yards, either in front of J. Mike, behind J. Mike, in J. Mike's vicinity. And we're talking about, man, what a great catch by J. Mike and a great run after the catch. Instead, J. Mike falls down, has to try to push his forearms together in hopes that the ball bounces off of his forearms and into his hands. And then there's the angle that shows that looks like it hits the ground and then pops up. So there's a lot of like what ifs on the call, but none of those what ifs happen if DJ Lagway sets his feet and just fires. Me personally, I think he got so excited to see J Mike wide open that all the fundamental stuff went out of his head and he didn't even think, oh, I wonder if I should set my feet. Because if I set my feet, they're going to realize it's going there and they might can get back to him. So he just launches it. Unfortunately, whatever's going on with him, he couldn't get it there, which is astonishing because he was so good at the deep ball a year ago. It doesn't make sense as he's underthrowing a 30 or 40-yard pass by 10 yards. It just doesn't make sense to me, Jordan.
It's crazy because like there was also other points in the game where he like overthrew as well. So it's just like an off passing game for DJ, like beyond that first touchdown to Wilson. And another thing was, you know what? This is actually something that I saw on Twitter. It was like after, funny enough that you mentioned the setting the feet, I saw so many videos of like warm up and comparing DJ and Trammell of their like setting their feet before they were like taking some practice throws like on the field. And yeah, no, Gator fans did not like that. They were calling out DJ's regression. They were saying how Trammell just like played more like a quarterback and like knew how to throw the ball like a quarterback. So there was a lot of discussion because of that underthrow to Sturdivant, and that would have changed the game. That would have put us in the red zone or near the red zone, and yeah, then we would have been up by a field goal if we made that touchdown. So it would have been maybe different, but I don't know. With DJ, I think in the offseason, he has a lot of work to do. That's for sure. In terms of like conditioning as well as like his, you know, being more mobile, also working on these throws. And like he did do some sidearm action at the Georgia game as well. I saw one, but I don't think that was completed. I don't know, DJ, I think he has a lot to catch up on in this offseason in order to be what we think DJ Lagway should be next year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was just so much going around on Twitter looking at, you know, DJ not setting his feet. They were showing Trammell throwing alongside of him. They do have two very different throwing motions. And then the other video I saw going around was so Chauncey Bowens on third down, not the one that they actually sprung the touchdown, but it was a little earlier in the game or maybe even later. But he had to go get a first down. It was like 3rd and 3 or something. Gunnar Stockton absolutely leveled one of the Florida Gator defenders, and I was like, gosh, if DJ was out there I mean, he stood the kid up. I mean, it was incredible. And you're sitting there going, can DJ go out and block for Jaden Ball sometimes?
Yeah, our
like
240-pound quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, like Gunnar Stockton's a much smaller dude.
Yeah.
And he's up here lighting up a defensive end that if Gunnar doesn't get the block, there's a chance that Chauncey Bowens gets stopped on third down. Georgia either has to punt or whatever. But overall, like, you know, when you've got a guy of that caliber of DJ Lagway, he cannot continue to get outplayed every week by quarterbacks that, frankly, are not as gifted as he is. Because on an athletics level, on a prototypical, like, if I were to make a quarterback in a lab, it would be of that same structure, right? Like a big dude that can throw it and runs like a deer. It's not Gunnar Stockton that's going to pop out of the preset. Like, what you're going to get is what DJ Lagway looks like and should be as a quarterback. But yet, on the field, I think if you asked a lot of fans on Saturday which quarterback you'd rather have leading your team, I don't know that the answer would be DJ Lagway, unfortunately. And I think, you know, that speaks to how far he's fallen out of favor with a lot of Gator fans. When I saw a lot of them on Twitter talking about, we need to move on from him, give Trammell Jones a chance. And it's so frustrating because I do think he's a very talented quarterback. I think that's the frustration point, is I do think he's as talented. But, I mean, at some point it becomes a question of, like, where's the coaching been maybe?
Right.
And then the question we've had all season, is DJ Lagway healthy? Because that's the other thing. If that shoulder injury that he had never got fixed, there's a very good chance that he is just still playing with that. And if he's playing with that, that may be why he couldn't get it to J. Mike. But if that's the case, you got to at least sit there and go, if he can't make a simple wide open pass to his wide open receiver 45, 50 yards down the field, he's hurting the team by being in the game. And like, you never want to question that, but like if his shoulder is not allowing him to throw a pretty simple, what should have been a pretty simple pass, and it's underthrown because he's trying to shot put it down there and give it. I mean, he put his whole body into the throw and it still didn't get there.
Yeah.
That's just concerning. But overall, like he's a very talented guy. Seems like a good person. Like watching him, he was pretty jovial after the game, hanging with the Georgia guys.
I see that as well.
Saw that.
A lot of discussion on that.
I've seen some folks, and look, I don't really have a big opinion on it.
Me either. What is he supposed to do?
Yeah, I think at this stage, I think a lot of people expect these Georgia players and the Florida players to just hate each other immediately after the game too, and I don't know that that's necessarily the case. And I think a lot of people say, well, that takes away from the rivalry, but I don't know that it does.
Yeah, like,
I mean,
I don't think it does either, because like you can hate each other on the field, like, you know, you can want to win the game. However, you don't have to be like rude and fighting each other like on the field after the game. Like the video of DJ, like he was just like dapping up some players. Like I don't really think that shows anything about how locked in he is. Like I think that's just him being like mannerly and being like a good person. Obviously after a loss in a rivalry game, like fans are always gonna have something to say. Fans are always gonna be like, oh, he should have like, you know, represented us better. He shouldn't be all like munchy with the rival. However, I just don't really see that. I mean, he's like 20 years old. Like, I don't know. I wasn't really expecting him to for them to ask a picture with him or try to like talk to him. He's like not wanting to talk. Like, I don't know. That's just like, I think that would give a worse look than what actually happened on the field. So yeah.
Well, it was, look, at the end of the day, it was a good game. I thought that both teams played well. I'm interested to see how Florida responds going forward, because as I've said, it's very easy to get up for the Georgia game. You're coming in there, it's a rivalry game. How do you get up for Kentucky?
Yeah.
How do you get up for Ole Miss and Tennessee, Florida State? How do you get up for the rest of the season? Because you probably put everything you had into the Georgia game, and you still came up short. That road game against Kentucky this week is going to tell us, I think, a lot more about what the Billy Gonzalez era is going to be remembered as than the Georgia game.
Yeah.
Because if they come out flat and don't play well against Kentucky, I mean, the season, I know a lot of people say the season's over anyway, but at that point the season is lost, and the locker room to some degree is lost. If they come out and light Kentucky up and play up to the level we think that the Gators are, then all of a sudden those last three games against Ole Miss, Tennessee, and FSU become winnable, and then you start talking maybe a bowl game. And look, I know that's not what anybody wanted to start this season. We were talking playoffs.
I mean, at one point we were thinking 2-10, so bowl game was kind of out of reach. But then now it might be back on the table. But I totally agree. Like, Kentucky is a must-win for the program in general. I think, you know, Lexington is not an easy place to play, and we've always struggled on the road at Lexington. It's always been very close. However, I think just as a program, the roster, more talent than Kentucky. And Kentucky's also been struggling. They just got their first SEC win over Auburn. So this is definitely a must-win for morale, for just the team, the locker room. Just how are we going to close the season? Because, you know, last year, the last 4 games, we won all of them. So it's like, how can you rally the locker room again to do the same thing like they did last season? And it's not going to be easy. There's some hard games left, but Kentucky at Lexington is going to be a must-win. And Mark Stoops also right now might be on the hot seat. I mean, like, Hugh Freeze just got fired because he lost to Mark Stoops. But Mark Stoops there's been talks of him maybe also getting fired. So I think Lexington is definitely winning there would be a must win. So we'll see what happens on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we get to Saturday, there's a game on Thursday night over at the O-Dome.
Let's go.
As the men's basketball team will kick off their home schedule against North Florida. they come into that game 0-1. And Jordan, I know that's we want to get to that, is the Arizona game on Monday night. I mean, I know you watched from the tip to the end. What were your big takeaways from the 93 to 87 point loss over in Las Vegas as Arizona, I'm going to call it an upset the defending champs in their sweet warm-up gear that they've got.
I'm traumatized.
And what to get your thoughts on that, and maybe what your thoughts were on those warm-ups too. I mean, first of all, where are they selling those at?
They look so cool. I really didn't want to lose in those warm-ups. Like, they look really cool. I didn't see them until, like, I think halftime, where they had the national championship, like, jacket and, like, white pants. Loved it. Wish we would have been 1-0, but I have so many thoughts because we did do our basketball preview, and I said that this team was going to be more balanced. We're not going to need that clutch player. I lied. Definitely lie. We do need Walter Clayton Jr. I miss him so bad. I was with him. I wish we had 4. Like, yesterday it was rough. The first 10 minutes, amazing. I was like, wow, like, we're going to go back to back. Like, this is looking really great. And then after the first 10 minutes, it just gradually became just abysmal. Offense was not doing anything. We don't have any shooters on this team. Literally none. I think the whole entire game, like, the game plan was to lob it up and hope somebody was there. That was, like, the entire game plan. Threes, I think we shot 27 threes and barely made any of them. And maybe, yeah. So it was not great. Also, even points in the paint wasn't great as well. We had to rely on Thomas Houck. My beloved Thomas Houck, he had 27 points, played 38 minutes. Actually, I looked that up. I thought he played 36, but he actually played 38, and we're going to need him to play 40 for the rest of the season because Tommy was gassed by the end of that game, but he was still giving it his all, like, giving us a chance to win. So I have nothing more better to say about Thomas Houck. However, I think Boogie and Xavier, Boogie did great on offense. However, defense, but offense was not there. He had that wide open corner 3 to tie the game. And I had flashbacks to March Madness because Walter Clayton Jr. would have made that. And it really made me sad because Boogie, the whole entire game, wasn't really attempting 3-pointers. So this was like either his first or second attempt. So yeah, I was not expecting it to miss. I think I was just, like, riding on the high of March Madness. So I was like, oh, I'm so used to these clutch shots. So when he missed that, I was like, a loss since February? Like, I couldn't wrap my head around it. But I thought Micah did really well. Micah is not playing scared anymore. He was playing scared last year because he was coming off of an injury. And I thought he did really great. Yeah, 11 points. There was a lot of questionable. The Ruben Chinyerlu call where his jersey got ripped. But I think one of the biggest, like, storylines is obviously Arizona's Koa Peat, 30 points as a freshman, insane. Jaden Bradley also, like, 27 points. And it's like, Alex Condon as a preseason All-American, how are you going to let a freshman do that to you? I think he also had a poster dunk on Alex Condon. And I try to remove that from my memory, but I think it's going to be there forever. Alex Condon also didn't play to the level that we thought he was going to. So a lot of question marks. I think production on offense is my number one concern. And I'm so glad that we are playing against UNF on Thursday because I think we need some lower competition to warm up to the season. But what about you, Justin?
Like a palate cleanser almost.
Yeah.
Look, I watched most of the game, watched all of the first half, watched most of the second half, and then I watched the end, obviously. Mm-hmm. I did take a break to eat something in there in between. Mm-hmm. I was cooking. But I tried to get done in halftime, and it just ran over. But anyway, looking it over, and I had a couple takeaways to start the game. I was very impressed at the opening run of how aggressive Boogie Fland and Xavier Lee looked. They were both attacking the basket. They were getting open shots for other people. They were spreading the ball around. They were creating open shots by driving. And then they got out to this big lead. They were up by like 12.
Yeah.
And then they maintained about a 12-point lead for about 5 minutes. And then all of a sudden they just stopped attacking the basket and started settling for threes, or they started settling for Ruben Chinyelu airballing a free throw, and just none of it made sense. What happened through that? There was a stretch at the end of the first half, and you were just like, what are we doing? How did we go from, it looked like for about 10 minutes to open the game that it was just going to be a continuation of last season. And then from that point on, Arizona starts making its comeback. And I'll say this, if their guard hadn't gotten into, Braden Burries hadn't gotten into foul trouble to start the game, it could have gotten worse, because he looked like he was going to go just absolutely torch that defense.
They were bullying us in the paint the entire game. I think they only attempted 5 3-pointers the entire 40 minutes. So all of their shot making were insane. Like, they were really just like taking tough shots in the paint, and they were making every single one. It was like all the shots were falling, and I was just like, okay, how can we get a break? And it was literally the first 10 minutes. I thought we were playing really fast paced, but then after that, it was kind of just like turnovers, like, I don't know. It was just a lot of issues started coming up. We left so many points on the free throw line as well. That is definitely, I think everybody missed at least one. Maybe not Tommy, but everybody else. So yeah, it was crazy.
Tommy missed 2, yeah.
Yeah.
He went 20. They went 20 for 30 from the free throw line. Tommy went 12 for 14. So he was getting to the line, but a lot of that, again, attacking the basket. And I thought they played better as a team when they attacked the basket. Xavier Lee immediately looked like, oh, he could be Walter.
He made that first 3.
When he made the first 3 and was flying around, he had a really sick layup. And I was like, oh, this guy might be legit. And
he was looking shifty.
And then all of a sudden, it went away. Like, he lost his rhythm. I don't know what happened. Boogie was kind of the same way. He hit a really tough contested layup, and then it just, from that point on, he just didn't do much. Michael Hanlockton played really well, 11 and 12, and I still double for him. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the 3 bigs lineup that Todd Golden tried to run out there. Because it looked like it may have hurt them from a flexibility standpoint, and it may have hurt them from a depth standpoint in the front court, because I think everybody got really excited when we heard that was kind of what they were going to try, and now all of a sudden it's like they got bullied. It didn't look good. It caused the offense to bog down. I mean, you go back and look at this box score. Koa Peat, 30 points, 3 steals, a block, 7 rebounds,
Crazy.
5 assists. Jaden Bradley, 27, 2, 5, and 3. And Ivan, I'm not going to try to say his name, Kov, went for 12 points and 10 rebounds. And again,
he was torching us for a little while.
A little bit, yeah. But really, it was just those 3 players destroyed Florida's entire defense for most of the game. And then over on the Florida side, Thomas put up 27, so he pretty much hung with Koa for most of the game, or at least Jaden.
Yeah.
But it was that there was nobody behind him to really pick up the secondary scoring. It was kind of like and look, it was still a really close game, but it was a lot of, everybody looked like they were trying to get their shots. So Xavier went and put up 14, but he took 17 shots to get it.
Yeah.
It was not enough 14. Then Alex Condon got 11, but again, it took 9 shots and it wasn't efficient. Boogie had 9 points, 3 for 9, not efficient. Micah was the only efficient one outside of Tommy, he went 5 for 5, put up 11 points. And then Urban comes out, hits a 3. I think it was Jesse Brotman we were talking to.
Yeah.
And
his defense was a little.
He mentioned that Urban, like, on the first couple plays looked really, really good, and then it was like a big drop off, and you're like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Because he also lost the handle, but then he ran right back down the court, steals the ball, gets him up the court, and then Alex Condon was running the point at one point.
Yeah.
I didn't understand a lot of what happened, but I want to get your thoughts on what the lineup looked like.
Yeah.
And how there were a lot of weird things that happened in this game. You mentioned Ruben Chinyelu getting his jersey ripped.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned this to somebody earlier. If I'm him, the minute I realize my jersey's tearing, I'm flopping. I'm on the ground. I'm acting like somebody has just punched me because somebody's going to know that this jersey's getting ripped. He just kind of took it and was like, hey, where's my foul? And they're like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
And then they went back and looked at it. They're like, well, yeah, that should have been a foul.
But we kind of moved on.
We can't call it a flagrant foul. So it's either a flagrant or no foul, so no foul.
Yeah.
Which is a very weird game.
It was so weird. And you know what? The good thing about this being the first game is, like, I knew going into this game that no matter what happened, I was going to overreact. Like, if we lost, I was going to overreact. If we won, I was going to overreact. And I guess that's, like, what the difference is with this season. Like, with non-conference, we are going to be tested a bit more than last year. So I need to be more okay with losing. I think this is definitely going to be more than a 4-loss season. It's looking like 6, you know. We'll see, but I think with the lineup, I didn't hate it. I mean, with the 3 bigs, I think we're just asking too much of Tommy right now. He has so many roles. He's playing the 4. Like, there's so much that he's doing, and he's playing for such a long time that I just think it's sustainable. And as well as when Boogie and Xavier, when your backcourt isn't producing as much, it's just like the front court also obviously can't make all of that up in the paint with, like, the shooting and the layup. So it's like, okay, how are we gonna spread the wealth, spread the points more? But no, the backcourt, I think that was my number one concern. I think that was everyone's number one concern. I thought defense played really well, but it was just like Arizona, like, their front court is probably the best that we're gonna face, like, the whole entire non-conference. They have a really, really good front court. I'm not overreacting that much to that. However, I think that also explains why we were losing the ball and causing that many turnovers. Moving forward, we're definitely not going to come across a front court like that again until later on in the season. But I don't know, with this lineup, there's so many questions. Like, you could tell that Coach Golden, obviously he wants to try out a lot of different lineups. We saw Herb being the 6th man off the bench. CJ coming in, I was not expecting him to play 11 minutes. I think that was, like, one of the most surprising things. CJ hit that 3, and I was like, freshman of the year. I was overreacting once again. But I was not expecting him to be 7th in the lineup. Like, seeing there it was really nice seeing him. But I don't know, this lineup is just like, I think Tommy just has too much going on. Like, he really thrived at the 4 because we had Will, Walt, and Elijah, right? But now he's like, he's a 3 at one point, he's a 4. Like, how is that going to be sustainable if Boogie and Xavier aren't really producing that night? That's also what we talked about in the preview. Like, what's going to happen if offense is not on a particular night, right? Then, like, how are we going to, like, still be put in a position to win? And last night, it just wasn't our night. And you know what? It's the first game of the season. I am not going to say, yeah, let's just wash it. Like, it's so over. We're so over. There's a lot of games to be played, and there's a lot of adversity. I think this was also technically an away game. So, like, the good thing is we're coming back to Gainesville with this in our belt. We've gone through adversity now. How can we learn? How can we grow? How can we adjust? And how can we do something different? But I think just not having that clutch player at the end really got me. Like, I really, really miss Walter Clayton Jr. But yeah.
I also was wondering what happened to A.J. Brown.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think
is he healthy? Or?
He is healthy. I just don't know what kind of role he has on the team. It's kind of like AJ, I think he's going to be more developmental guy. I think this year he's probably going to just, like, really get a sense of the program and maybe play, like, 5 minutes a game. I don't really see him having a bigger role, but we'll see. Who knows? Like, this is the first game of the season. But yeah, AJ Brown did not come off the bench at all. And Isaiah Brown didn't either. So it was, yeah, the lineup was really interesting yesterday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was a little flummoxed as to why there weren't more people played in an opening game. I mean, I guess if you're almost simulating a March Madness type game, and maybe that's what Todd Golden was going for, I guess we really shouldn't take a ton from this game until we see what they do against North Florida. If they come out against North Florida and they go 10 or 11 deep on the bench, then we're going to come back and we're going to look and go, oh, he used a shortened rotation to simulate a March Madness game so that they could see what it's going to be like. Because, look, Arizona's going to be there in March. You may have to play them again in the tournament.
And I think another part was because we were playing catch up. Like now,
Yeah.
like after the 10 minutes. So it's like you can't really go deep into your bench because we were playing catch up. And like Arizona got out to like a 10-point lead. And now it's like, okay, well, you can't put AJ Brown in there because Tommy has to be in there. Like Boogie and Xavier, who probably will give you the best chance to win, quote unquote. So like you have to put them out there. So now it's kind of like when you're playing catch up, you can't really go deep into the bench. So North Florida will definitely see them for sure.
That's what I'm hoping for. And I definitely want to see what they're able to do in that game. I think that's going to give us a better sense of where the season may go from just a rotational thing. And look, the schedule, you play Florida State next week. You play Miami next week. And then Merrimack right after that for ring night is what I've heard.
Yes, replica ring night.
Got to get over there for that. But look, Florida State and Miami, I think North Florida, you work out the kinks, and then you come back for that Florida State game, and you hope you've worked them out as much as possible. Because I think really the next 3 games, one, you'd like to see Florida go 3-0. But I think really what you need to learn over the next 3 games is how Todd Golden can really rely on some of these bench players to step into bigger roles. Because I don't think he's going to be able to rely on, Xavier Lee and Boogie and all those guys and Tommy to just go out and carry you every single night. You're going to have to get some stuff from the bench. That's what made this team good last year, is that they had some superstars that could come off the bench and get you some points. But there was definitely moments last night where you were like, man, where's Will Richard?
Even Denzel.
Yeah, where are some of these guys that you really miss? But look, I don't want to panic. It's game one.
Game one. We're overreacting, right?
There's some overreaction in what we're saying. I think you're more likely to know more about this team come November 17th, which is the night after the Miami game. I think that's when we're really going to be able to look back and go, okay, we've got 4 games under our belt. And look, the sky's not falling. They took Arizona to the limit on Monday night. It wasn't like it was a complete and utter disaster.
Right.
They didn't get blown out. They didn't, barely scrape by and win by 5 against Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah. Well,
so I think that to some degree, you have to feel encouraged that in their first matchup, they were able to keep this within a few points. And really, they still had a chance. If not for Boogie missing that 3, I think they win the game.
yeah.
I think I can win the game. So I think once we get maybe a little bit further into the season, the chemistry builds. I think this is still a tournament team. I still think they finish under a 2 seed, and I think this is a team that can go deep in the tournament. But I think there are things that need to be cleaned up, and I do think there's some panic points that if it's not fixed by the end of that Miami game, you start to go, okay, when are we going to see a full good game from this team? And then it becomes, all right, if they come out of this stretch 2-2 or 1-3, because they've lost to both of those, then it becomes, okay, should we be worried more about Duke and UConn, and is there going to be some other potential pitfalls for us in the conference schedule? I think this is a tournament team. I still think they're going to be fine, but there's some question marks.
Yeah.
Which I think we always knew. I think we all got really drawn in by those warm-up gear. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, we did. And you know what? I would rather play Arizona on night 1 than Bethune-Cookman. I think this is definitely you learn so much more from this experience than if you were playing like a bye game at the O-Dome. So this is something that I think was great by Todd Golden to schedule such a hard non-conference. It's like Boogie and Xavier, they're so new. They need to be accustomed to the pressure and like the expectations that are set on them to go back to back or like to make a deep run. So like you can't really do that unless you're being put in those situations where you're going against good teams. Like this is a French top 10 team, right? So it's like you're going to have that again in March. So how can you like control your emotions? How can you show up when the lights are bright? And I think this was a great introduction for Boogie, for Xavier, for the freshmen, to like, this is what we're expecting, and now you could kind of take this experience, digest it, and make some adjustments. Now we're back at home on Thursday. Everyone's going to be cheering for you. It's going to be packed. So Yeah, I'm actually excited for the Miami game to be over because I hate seeing that we're 0-1 right now.
I'll throw out there too. So I'm just going to read you very quickly a few quotes from Tommy. Our bigs as a group, we need to be the best front court in the nation. We can't let somebody come out and score 30 points against us. That's unacceptable. We won't happen moving forward. Boogie said, I felt we learned a lot about ourselves. Arizona showed fight and grit, and we just didn't match it. We definitely could have been better on the defensive end. But as bad as we played, we still gave ourself a chance to win. It's a lesson, not a step back. And then Xavier said, I just think we weren't ourselves. The thing we pride ourselves on is guarding, rebounding, being physical, making shots. And I just don't think we did any of that on the level that we can. That being said, I'm not too worried. I think we'll do those things more times than not. So this was a good game to learn from. I think me and Boogie have to be better. Me especially, I just need to make more of the shots. And then the Arizona coach said, I told our guys these games are crazy and emotional, but they're long and you just have to take a breath. Golden said the way we play is very complimentary, but when we're pulling the ball out of the net every time, it's really hard to get out and transition, get early baskets, and play the way we want to play. And then he put it here, we're a high floor program. We rebound well. We take care of the ball, and that's going to usually give us a chance to win. We were deficient in both of those areas on Monday, and we're walking out of here with a 6-point loss. I'm super disappointed we lost, but the reason why we played this game was to give ourselves a really good opportunity to get a quality win. I don't think anybody's going to hold the loss against us moving forward. I do think it gives us a great opportunity to teach our team. All of that sounds phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. And here's what I'll also say. I think they're all spot on. And the other thing I'll throw out there is, yeah, at the end of the year, they're not going to hold it against you because you lost the game. I think, in fact, they'll look back and go, this is a quality loss because that Arizona team's going to get better. That's the scary part.
Yeah. And we'll get better.
And Florida's going to get better. I think if these two teams meet in the tournament, it's going to be another 6-point game. It's going to be really tough to beat both of these teams. And I like what Todd Golden said about them being a high floor program. This might be one of the worst nights you'll see from them. And they lost by 6 and put up 87 points.
Yeah, exactly. And we were on pace to score 50 in the first half. And it's like there's definitely going to be adjustments made. And I think it was funny for the bigs, like Coach Hartman, which is like the bigs coach, on the sideline, just you could see that he was really holding it in. Like you can see he was waiting to rip the bigs for what they were doing, the mistakes they were making. But I think rebounding definitely could be better. Rebounding definitely could be better next game.
And my guess is that'll be some stuff that they clean up. But Jordan, I've enjoyed the opportunity to get in here, talk some sports with you, talk some hoops. We're finally in season now. It's no longer, we're not previewing anymore. We're reacting.
It's the best time of the year, football and hoops.
We get a little bit of both. So thank you again for coming in, and we'll definitely have you back on as the rest of the season starts to play out. Thank you for joining us here on Sports Lab Overtime.